Hello everyone, I'm Indrajeet Ghorpade, your host for XenTegra on Air podcast series. I have with me a guest from IGEL, uh, Simon Townsend, field CTO at IGEL. And I think there was a gap in between. We were not able to deliver a couple of episodes, but I thought of connecting back after the holiday season in India. And now we thought of continuing the conversation and we'll make sure there'll be no major breaks from now onwards. Hey, hi Simon, how are you?
I'm very good, very good. It is a sunny day here in the UK. Quite warm, but yeah, no, everything is good. Everything is good with me. As you said, I think we've been very busy over recent weeks, and but it's good to see a lot of activity going on in the market at the moment. Lots of events taking place again, both in North America and obviously elsewhere in the world. So I think the EUC market is starting to get very exciting again.
That's great. In India, it was more of festivity, right? It started
Yeah,
and it will continue for next couple of months. Like a lot of festivals going on in India, right? So we are into that and like a lot of holidays and like a lot of celebrations and all, right? So we're done with recently we're done with Ganesh festival, Lord Ganesha, right?
yeah,
Ganesh Chaturthi festival, and like even Navratri is coming up, and then like Diwali after that. So it is kind of a all over festivity in India. Yeah. So I think now it's time to uh, go to the work, like or like start whatever we were doing, and let's focus and let's continue with the momentum which we started and deliver good content to our audience. Yeah.
sure.
So Simon, recently I've seen right, I'm following you up on, or you can say, stalking you on LinkedIn, and you are doing a lot of activities, a lot of things, and like posting a lot of things on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
Recently, I've seen you posted about couple of things, right? So specifically, so till now we were talking about IGEL as a solution which is uh, made for or like built for VDI or like cloud like workspaces, right?
Hmm.
But I've seen a couple of your posts, right, where IGEL itself can deliver a couple of SaaS applications. I've seen a post related to Microsoft 365 and other
Hmm.
SaaS-based applications. So for our audience, I think today we should focus on right how IGEL can be used individually or like independently
Yep.
without any VDA platform. Say, for example, any customer is having very limited set of applications, SaaS-based applications, maybe Microsoft 365 or similar applications, and there is no VDI use case as such. So
Yep.
in that case, how IGEL can be useful or like whether IGEL can able to cater that particular use case or like that particular requirement.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. So I think there's a couple of things to talk about here. Um, let's remind ourselves of the IGEL Cosmos platform first of all, because the IGEL Cosmos platform gives our customers access to an application portal. So anybody listening in now can go to app.igel.com, app.igel.com, and you can see the IGEL application portal. And in that portal, that is where um, Citrix, VMware, Microsoft, and many others place their latest clients so that all of iGel's customers can get access to them and download them. So you download them from the portal, it comes into the management server, and then you can deploy them out. So as soon as Citrix release the latest version of their Citrix client, it goes into the iGel app portal, app.igel.com, and then all of the customers management servers pull the latest client down, the Citrix client down, and then they can then push it out to their employees. So that means that all of our customers always have the very latest VDI desktop as a service client. They've got the latest version of Citrix, the latest version of VMware, the latest version of AVD. What's happened over the last couple of weeks now is we are starting to increase how many applications are being put up into the portal. So you would have seen in the last week that we've put a liquidware application up in the portal. That means that customers can now download the liquidware Stratosphere client. They can push that out, and now all of the IGEL endpoints can report up into the liquidware tool to do performance monitoring. You'll also see later today that the control-up agent is in the application portal. That means that people can download the control-up agent, push it out to their IGEL devices, and now you've got the ability to do digital experience monitoring and digital experience management on your IGEL devices. And to your point, we've also released the Windows 365 Cloud PC app. And that application is ever so slightly different to the AVD app in that it gives you direct access into Windows 365 Cloud PC, but it gives you the control that you normally see through the web browser to reboot, shut down your machine, and carry out tasks. So from within the IGEL, from an IGEL device, I can log in to Windows 365 Cloud PC. I can see all of my Cloud PCs. I can shut them down, restart them, launch them, and then I can connect to them. I've also got the ability to configure IGEL in a way that it does instant boot. And this is something that Microsoft is talking a lot about at the moment. So one of the options that you have with Windows 365 Cloud PC is to enable instant boot from a Windows device. So what that means is instead of the device booting into local Windows and then you connect to Cloud PC, you can boot a device and it goes straight into Cloud PC. You can do exactly the same thing with IGEL. So I can power on, I've just taken ownership of a device here actually. This is the new HP laptop, let's have a look. It's the MT645. Okay, this is a very, very nice laptop. It comes pre-installed with IGEL. I can configure this now to instantly boot into Windows 365. So my employee can turn it on, and the first thing they see is their Windows 365 Cloud PC applications. They can start the machine, connect to it. That's and they're productive. So, you know, if you look at the liquidware, you look at the control up, you look at the Improvata, which is very popular in healthcare for tap and go.
Yeah.
You look at a lot of the applications we're now putting into the portal, we're expanding the use case, giving people the ability to use third-party tools, third-party monitoring tools, and also giving them the ability to connect into different environments from IGEL OS. The other thing that you mentioned there is SaaS-based applications.
Yeah.
And this is the other thing that we're seeing. So IGEL, again, this is my HP laptop, runs IGEL. I can connect into my Citrix, I can connect into AVD, but for probably 60% of my working day, I don't actually need VDI. I don't need desktop as a service. My CRM application, my Office 365, my Teams, my Zoom, everything I do can all be accessed via either a local application or via the web browser. So what you're going to see is the Chromium browser, the Edge browser, the Chrome browser, Firefox browser. All of these browsers are being added into the application portal so that a user can turn an IGEL device on, open up a web browser, and connect to their SaaS-based applications as well. You're also going to see later on today, in fact, the Zoom client appear on the application portal. That's not the Zoom client for VDI. That's actually Zoom for IGEL. And so what that means is that, again, I can boot up my IGEL device, I can browse the web, I can connect to VDI, I can connect to desktop as a service. But if I need to join a Zoom call, I can use the local Zoom client and just attend my calls. Likewise, you're going to see progressive web applications come into the app portal. That means that I can now use Microsoft Teams as a local application on my IGEL device. So all of a sudden, IGEL suddenly becomes a way in which a lot of organizations can access their workspace in a very different number of ways. Some users will log on and use IGEL to connect into Citrix VDI. Some users are going to log on and connect into Windows 365 Cloud PC. And in those environments, they're going to get a Windows desktop and they're going to run all their applications and see their data in those Windows desktops. But there is also this third set of employees now who perhaps don't need VDI, don't need desktop as a service, and they can do their job with a web browser, with Microsoft Teams and Microsoft Zoom installed locally. And as I say, that's how I tend to do my job about 50% of the time. So lots and lots of organizations at the moment are building their applications. Device Trust is another one, right? It's building their applications for the application portal, the IGEL app portal, so that our customers can deploy these apps in a far simpler way. And sometimes that's web browsers, sometimes that's unified communications tools, sometimes it's DEX, digital employee experience monitoring tools. Some of them are security tools. I've actually got the Citrix endpoint analysis agent installed on my IGEL device now, so I can do conditional access into that. We're looking at how we can support Intune conditional access as well. So there's a huge amount of work going on right now in terms of getting applications into the application portal so that we can support things like Cloud PC and do instant boot, but again, and importantly, support access into web-based applications that, I think many of us now, we've got a complete mix of apps. We've got some old terminal emulation applications, we've got Windows-based applications, but there's a lot of applications now which the processing is being done in the cloud, the data is being done in the cloud. It's how our mobile phones work. It's how I think our desktops are going to work moving forward as well.
Yeah, that's actually interesting. And it is a very common use case which you highlighted in any organization, right? It is there are a couple of users, set of users, task workers, right? Maybe using specific applications, or couple of users, right, working on their specific applications on VDI. But there are at least common departments, I say, right? The accounts, finance, and administration, right? The common departments, they have set of applications which are like SaaS-based applications or web-based applications, and there is no kind of requirement for VDI, but yes, they can. They want to use the browser or that specific application. And I think it is a use case for any customer, because it is very common to be it any sector, any industry. It is very common use case, right? And so that is actually interesting. So with this, any customer, not specific to a sector, even customers without any VDA or any cloud workspace, right? With them, but IGEL can be used in that for that particular customer. Yeah, it is actually interesting. So if you can just you mentioned about app portal, and day by day, even in our a couple of earlier episodes, we covered that day by day app portal is emerging, it is increasing the apps, and so what is so is it something, right? You are now independent of, right, any video or cloud. Is there a kind of a plan, right, to be independent of any of the platforms? And the app portal is the kind of a central portal where the end user can get whatever he wants. So is there
Yeah.
any specific plan ahead?
Yeah. No. So a couple of things there. So number one, you hit you're 100% right. You hit the nail on the head, which is any organization today needs to look across their whole business and work out what the use cases are, what the workflows are, and the personas are in their organization, and work out what is the best way to deliver the workspace for that particular user or set of users. I don't think we are in the same place that we were, say, 10 years ago, where we said, we've got 10,000 users, 10,000 users need VDI, or we've got 2,000 users, 2,000 users all need laptops. This is not a cost-effective, sustainable way of delivering a workspace. The better thing to do is, like you said, to say, right, I've got 3,000 users or 3,000 employees. How many of them could use VDI? How many of them could just use the web and Teams and Zoom? And how many of them perhaps need to be offline and use, a Windows-based laptop or device? By doing that and creating these personas, you're going to be in a much better position to deliver cost-effective and sustainable IT. And to your point, the reason why we are so focused on the application portal is that we want to give our customers choice and flexibility to be able to offer those different types of workflows. We're even getting to the point now where the application portal that you see in your company is different to the application portal I see in my company. And so you end up with an application portal of common applications, but then there's also always a private area of applications that a customer can see. And the reason why we're doing that is, number one, we can push out private builds. So if there is a private build of Citrix or a private build of IGEL that you might need, I can deploy that into the application portal just for that customer. But importantly, it will soon allow a customer to put their own applications into their own part of the app portal. So if you take a retail organization, of which IGEL's got a lot,
Yeah,
what they might want to do is they might want to take their Linux-based application that they use on the production line or in the retail stores. They want to take that application, package it up, and put it into the application portal so that their IT administrators can push it out to IGEL. So this is where we are giving people choice and flexibility, which is, if you want to connect to VDI, I can support Citrix, VMware, Parallels, RDP. If you want to connect to desktop as a service, you can connect to AVD, Windows 365, Cloud PC, AWS, Workspot, Frame, whatever it is. If you want to deploy a web browser, you can do a Chrome, you can do Firefox, you can do Edge, you can do Chromium. In the future, you'll be able to do some enterprise managed web browsers as well. So, there's technologies out there like Talon and Island web browser, right? Those organizations may well suddenly become available in the app portal. But also, what about if you just want to run the application natively, like Zoom, like the retail application, like a company's specific check-in, check-out application? If there is a Linux version of that application, it can be packaged up. It can therefore be deployed out to the IGEL devices. So IGEL suddenly becomes the operating system that is built for the enterprise. It's built for business. It's not just about connecting into VDI. It's not just about accessing the web. It's offering a very broad now way of deploying the workspace. And I don't think we've seen anything like it other than Windows, right? You can install anything on Windows, but that's half
yeah,
the problem. You can install anything on Windows, and
yeah,
the employee can install it. Chrome, on the other hand, is really built for a cloud only. Chrome OS, Chromebooks, they just, if it runs in a web browser, great. If it doesn't run in a web browser, you might have some challenges.
yeah,
IGEL is giving IT administrators, it's given IT the ability to do admin installed applications. And I think that's quite different and quite important. So,
Yeah.
yeah, exciting times, Indrajeet, exciting times.
Actually, and you know what, right? So, in other words, I'll say for any customer, like because right now there are a lot of startups or like organizations recently started. They don't invest much on the infrastructure, like major like physical infrastructure on premise. So
Hmm.
generally, all startups or like enterprises are like focusing on SaaS-based applications, and majority of their work uh, happens on like those SaaS or like web-based applications. So and the collaboration tools because it was a need like for need of time, right? Right now, everyone is dependent on like collaboration tools like Zoom, Teams, and so on, right? So with that, I can say IGEL is now a platform to deliver right all these SaaS-based applications as well as collaboration tools in a secured way
Yep,
that
exactly.
specific end user will access those or make use of those applications in a secured way without any security like there is no like need to worry about like any security breaches and all, right? So there will be specific applications, specific set of applications, and it is again with the read-only operating system.
Yep,
Yeah, that's actually a very good thing, and like I'll say it's an evolution in the UC segment.
yep. No, agreed, agreed, agreed. It's it requires a slightly different way of thinking. Um, uh, but I suppose that's why we call it disruptive, right?
And
Yeah,
IGEL is like committed to that disrupt, right? They are doing the deep side, like they are just changing the technology, but overall aspects, right? The way we seen IGEL started and like the now what we are talking about, right? It is like all boundaries or all limitations we overcome and like we came with, right? Directly delivering those specific applications to the end users in a secure way. Yeah, that's
exactly,
actually a very good
exactly.
improvement.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you can, like, you mentioned about Microsoft 365 and specifically Liquidware Control App, and
Hmm.
even you touched base like many of the media platforms. Even I don't know, I don't think right many of the like our audience, right? They even not knowing those platforms at such like media platforms because like specifically you talked about highlighted about specific names like Parallels, Workspot. These are kind
Hmm.
of new OEMs, right? And like IGEL is with the pace in line with the evolution or like in line with the new products in the market, right? So
Yep.
on Microsoft 360, because I can see like, or even you will agree on it, right? Majority of the customers are now using Microsoft 365 and either Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace, right?
Hmm.
So if you can just put some more light on, right, what exactly specific to Microsoft 365? You already highlighted like you can launch like that specific like Microsoft 365 PC when you start your device. But are there
Yep.
any specific or additional things you want to highlight or right put some light on?
So yeah, so you've got two things, right? So you've got Windows 365 Cloud PC
Yeah.
support for that, um, support for instant boot, so we can go straight into a cloud PC, support to control your Windows 365 environments, such as reboot, shutdown. You can do all of that, and that's very easy to evaluate, right? You can go and buy yourself a Windows 365 Cloud PC, put your credit card details in, you'll get the details for it. You can download IGEL, you can configure IGEL with the Windows 365 app, and you can now connect from IGEL into Windows 365. Very easy. On the Microsoft 365 side of things, typically Office, the interesting thing there is that if you've currently got Outlook running on your Mac or your Windows device, you'll probably see that there's a little button at the moment that says try new version. And if you
Yep.
click that try new version, what happens is you get your Outlook suddenly looks and feels like the web version of Office 365. And so what's happening very subtly and cleverly over time is that Microsoft is making the traditional Outlook client look more and more like the web version. And
Yep.
so we're going to get to a point where they look exactly the same, and hence you will just get very used to being able to use Outlook through the web browser. But what also happens is you can turn that web browser version of Office 365 into what's called a progressive web app. And what that means is that it looks and feels like it's running as a native application, but it's using the Chromium framework in the background, the web-based framework in the background, to actually deliver it onto screen. And this is an area where I think more applications are going to go to. So it's not about opening up a web browser and having lots and lots of tabs open. What you'll have is you'll have lots and lots of applications open, but they'll all actually be using a web-based framework. They'll be progressive web applications. And that's where other things like single sign-on in IGEL comes important, right? The fact that when I log on to my IGEL device in the morning, I log on Townsend at IGEL, I have to go through my multi-factor authentication, but then once I'm logged on to IGEL, IGEL's then pushing my details, my credentials, into my web-based applications, right? So I'm logging on to all of these different applications that I use every single day. And that obviously improves workflow, improves security. So I think, you're going to see more and more applications move towards web. It's not as easy for some apps, but that's really where a lot of this integration is going to come from. So yeah, real good support for AVD, really good support for Windows 365 Cloud PC, not forgetting that you can do things like Zoom and Teams offloading in there, but also when you look at something like Windows 365, sorry, Microsoft 365, which is, Office, the ability to access that via a web browser is going to become more and more common. The big thing here is that Microsoft are typically selling 3 different types of licenses. Some customers are buying an E1 license, some an E3, some an E5. Again, not everybody needs an E3 or an E5 license. Like, some organizations are trying to reduce, we're in an economic crisis. Some organizations are trying to reduce their cost. One way of reducing cost is to come from an E3 to an E1 license. But when you move from an E3 to an E1, you only get access to Office via the web browser. And with these progressive web applications and delivering things like IGEL, you could repurpose a PC. I can take an old PC my old PC over here is, behind me, can't run Windows 11.
Yeah.
But it can run IGEL.
Yeah.
So I can run IGEL. I don't need to buy a new piece of hardware. I can run IGEL, and yet I can still connect into Windows 365 and also Microsoft 365.
You specifically, thanks for giving this insight. You specifically mentioned about instant boot. So I think if you can just talk more on that, right? What exactly it is and like how it is useful for those customers using Microsoft 365 like cloud
Yeah.
PC.
Okay. So all of this comes down to whether an employee would like to log on and see the IGEL desktop before they connect into their remote environment, or whether they just want to see their cloud PC, their remote environment, first of all. So when I log on, and people can go and watch this in YouTube videos, when I log on into my IGEL environment, I get an IGEL desktop. I've got icons on the desktop, I've got wallpaper, I've got items on the start menu. I can run a web browser, I can run Citrix, I can run Zoom, I can run Teams. I can even run Spotify on my IGEL device if I want to, right? There's lots of applications I can run. So that is a bit like having a Windows desktop, right? Instead of it being a Windows desktop, it's an IGEL desktop. I've got an IGEL desktop and I've got icons and applications on it. The Windows 365 Cloud PC app offers instant boot, which basically means that what you do is you configure IGEL to boot straight into the Cloud PC. So you don't see the IGEL desktop. You power on the device, the IGEL logo comes up while it boots, and then the first thing the employee sees is their Windows 365 Cloud PCs. And you just click the button and you connect, log in and connect, and you've got a Windows desktop. So it's about, do you want your employees to access lots of the IGEL desktop and access a number of applications, or do you just need simple, secure, instant access into Windows 365 Cloud PC? If everything you do is in a Windows 365 Cloud PC desktop, then you can just enable instant boot, and it just means that you power on the IGEL device and it boots straight into Windows 365 Cloud PC. I'm actually going to be making a video on this in about 3 hours time. I'm going to post it on LinkedIn, just showing what it's doing. There's a couple of other, if you look up Fred Bratstick at IGEL, he's a Microsoft MVP. He's worked for IGEL for a long time. He's done a whole video on instant boot as well. So if you're using Windows 365 Cloud PC, I would highly recommend evaluating IGEL, evaluating the Windows 365 Cloud PC app, and evaluating instant boot, because it could provide very, very simple instant access into Windows 365.
That's actually interesting, like specifically for those task workers, and like if for a customer everything is on like Microsoft 365 or Windows 365, and in that case, like there is overall that boot time or like that like delay in launching those applications. It is like overall that OS layer is kind of removed, and like you are directly entering in your environment, hosted environment or like Microsoft environment. It is actually a time saving thing, and like end users can specifically focus on their applications or like whatever work they have on their cloud environment or like Microsoft environment. They can directly go into it and like they can work on it. It is very interesting. Like so now we are even not dependent on the base operating system we were talking about, right? Securely delivering applications, but now like with a secured OS, but now it's like directly entering to the application, right? And start working on it, right? So it is interesting.
Exactly, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, I think it was a very good conversation, and like we thought of like having like touch base that non-VDA use case, and like even we talked like in detail about specifically Windows 365, Microsoft 365, and like cloud PC. And I think it is helpful for majority of the customers because Microsoft is all over, right? Many of the customers on premise now, even they move to Microsoft 365 or O365, and they're using AVD or like cloud PC. And I think it was very helpful to our audience, and like I think many of the customers or like many of the audience, like they'll actually will be they must be interested to explore what IGEL is like, how overall thing is getting delivered. So you said that video is coming out today itself, right?
Yes, yeah. If people want to follow me on LinkedIn,
Yeah,
please do. And also, you can follow IGEL on the IGEL Technology YouTube channel, and we'll try and get the videos out up on that as well.
yeah, sure. And like even if you follow IGEL, along with that, there is a page for XenTegra Private Limited, XenTegra India. So because we
Exactly.
are very closely working with IGEL and like majority of our partners. So whatever new coming in, right? We are regularly posting those videos or like that information on our like YouTube as well as our LinkedIn channel. So even we have our YouTube channel like Zentegra Private Limited, where we post all our like podcast, webinars, and so on. So request you all to subscribe for IGEL as well as XenTegra Private Limited page on LinkedIn. Okay, with this, I think let's conclude today's episode. Thanks, Simon. Thanks for your
Thank
time.
you.
And like after a break, it was a very good, very session, very nice session. And let's not have a break now. Like let's continue the momentum and like let's come back with more and more episodes with specific content which will be helpful to our uh, audience. Yeah. Thank you.
Perfect.
Thanks, Simon. Thanks.
No
Thank you.
worries.
Thank you.
Take it easy. Have a great weekend.
Wish you the same. Thanks.